The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. 80s baseball, past, present, and future. I'm Ralph Tycho with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and the hostess is here, Nancy Finley. The host is a little late, Jerry Feidelberg. How are you, Nancy?
I am great. And you know what? I have 3 p.m.
You have 3 p.m.?
Yes. I am on
And
time.
what time is it now?
3 p.m.
All right. We're cooking.
3:02.
Okay. We are cooking away. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. But in addition to your timekeeping abilities,
yes,
you have been a terrific co-hostess on the show. We've learned so much about your Uncle Charlie and your dad, Carl. And we have a guest, as you very well know,
Mr.
who
Lockwood.
knew and respected your uncle, your Uncle Charlie, back in the Kansas City days. He is a 4-time returner to these networks, and we've already made an announcement that he is going to have his own podcast show on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. He is Skip Lockwood. Skip, how you doing?
We're doing great. Everything is great. I'm in Florida. It's been warm down here. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, for any Easterner, anybody that doesn't know what a thrill it is to get away from New York or Eastern Boston, whatever, Connecticut, it's been horrendous. The storms have been horrendous, and so nice that you're enjoying Florida.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, Skip.
All right.
I looked in my Kansas City yearbook, and I just love looking at the names. Do you remember Tom Harrison?
Yes, I do. Tom Harrison was my roommate.
He was? Oh, my gosh.
Yes,
because he was there for 1 year, 65. But that's a year a lot of people seem to remember because introducing the new mascot. And then I see all your pictures for Up and Coming, and LaRussa's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing. I know, to see all these names together. But I stay in contact with Tom and his wife Isabella. I don't know if you've met, but he's in Southern California. But it's really, I like to stay in touch with everyone as much as I can.
I haven't seen Tom in 40 years, so please say hi to him.
Yes, I will.
We lived in Rowe Village out in Kansas, and we used to commute back and forth to the ballpark together.
Oh yeah. A lot of people have gone out there now. Just Overland Park. So, isn't that now? Question: have you seen the Royals minor league stadium?
No, I haven't.
Oh my!
Haven't seen it.
It is. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, it's like what you see with these regular stadiums. The amount of money that went into that. They had us back in 2009, and their mascot is someone dressed like a bunny or a rabbit. And whoever that is the most polite person. It was fun, but it was amazing. I'll get your contact a little later, and then I can send you some photos of that stadium. It was amazing, and Tom was at that.
Nancy, if you look back at some of those old pictures, Charlie signed 30 or 40 young men in 64 and 65 that obviously formed the nucleus for the Kansas City A's and then the Oakland A's. But what an eye for talent he had.
Thank you. And you know what? It wasn't. I mean, it was very colorful. I mean, if you saw the Oakland Coliseum when I came out here to live, it was great. That's what I remember. And then thinking back to Kansas City, what a change. I mean, in looks. But then the players started coming out. I mean, they just broke out after. It was like Kansas City was sort of like the university, going through everything and then just breaking out here in Oakland. It was amazing.
Well, it's odd that the absolute core of those World Championship teams was put together while they were still in Kansas City, and they came up. Campaneris, Reggie Jackson came up.
Reggie was a later too. He was 67, I believe.
But they had.
But he still played in Kansas City, as did Catfish Hunter.
He's Catfish.
Who was another
Bando.
roommate of Skip Lockwood's, Catfish Hunter. You had a delightful story. You can repeat it if you would, about Catfish meeting him in the minors. Skip.
Wow.
Catfish and I were roommates, and in winter ball, and we stayed at the Manatee River Hotel in Sarasota. I had never met Catfish, and I had checked into the hotel, and Catfish was a little bit late in arriving and showed up at the door. He was limping, and his foot appeared to be bleeding. And I looked down, and there was this trail of he was stepping in something with blood. And I looked at him, and he introduced himself as, hi, I'm Catfish. He came from Hertford, North Carolina, so it was a real southern draw. And I said, very nice to meet you. What happened to your foot? And he said, don't tell Finley, don't tell Charlie, but I blew off my little toe in a hunting accident like a week ago. And all the walking that he had to do to get to the hotel and cabs and everything, was making the foot bleed. So it was starting to bleed again. And shaking hands with him, I don't know whether you've ever met Catfish or not, Nancy, but he had 6 fingers on his right hand. He had a little stub of a finger. It wasn't really a little finger, but there was something there. So Catfish had 9 toes and 11 fingers when I met him.
Oh my God! Yeah, see, I wasn't supposed to ask people if I saw something like that. Just no. But
he was a great roommate. He was just a wonderful guy, and I got to room with him all the next year. And what a great person he was.
Wouldn't you say Charlie was like the parent figure, like the way you say Catfish didn't want him to know? That it reminds me of what a teenager would say. I mean, someone who's trying to hide something from the father. That seemed to be more of the way it was, because Charlie wanted to know everything. He wanted to know if they had to take an antibiotic. And because I remember him on the phone to Dad, what did you hear from the doctor? I mean, everything. And when it comes to that, yes, that part was micromanaged because he was building the team and he knew what the players could do. But when you mention that, it reminds me of the gun and Lou Krause and how Charlie got him out of that.
Well, that's a favorite story of mine, Lou Krause.
Oh, that's in my book, by the way. That's in my book.
That didn't make my book, but I had talked to Lou Krause about a month ago. Lou has been a little sick. He had some throat cancer. He's doing fine. He's doing great. He's on the mend, playing golf again. But what a funny guy, Lou Krause.
I know. He was interviewed for my book. He's very funny. He used to like to just shoot his gun out his hotel window after. Yeah.
Absolutely.
After games.
Oh, no idea who was across the street.
I know. And
Nancy, except if there's a hospital over there, and you fire shots in the hospital.
Well, in a way, that's not a bad place to fire shots, because if you hit somebody, They're already at the hospital.
So, yes. Now,
you have a weird sense of humor, Ralph.
I do. That's we'll talk about that sometime off the air. Gets me in a lot of trouble.
Charlie just made sure the gun was not found and it was not traced to Lou.
It's called a
bottom line.
Because people, men in coats started or black suits came around looking to see where the shot came from.
I have a question for Skip.
Yes.
Skip, I see.
Jerry Feidelberg has joined us.
Yes.
Jerry, I'd like you to meet Skip. And
hi, Skip. I see that you went to Norwood High School. Did you grow up? You grew up in the Boston area?
I grew up outside of Boston. Norwood was my home. I actually went to the Catholic Memorial High School.
Well, you're talking a Boston boy. I went to Boston Latin School.
Oh yeah, I don't hear it in your voice. You must be gone a while from there.
I've been in California for 51 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you lose it after a while. Yes,
I'm from Texas. Yes, the Midwest, Texas. You lose it. Yes.
Hey, I'm speaking the Queen's English as we speak. I lost mine.
Ralph, we know, comes from the Bronx, so you can hear it in his voice. Or was it the Queens?
It was the Queens. The Bronx is up north a little bit there.
Yeah,
but I grew up in Manhattan. I have roots in all 5 boroughs.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Nancy, I just came from the A's offices, the new offices on House Street, and they have a nice big picture of your Uncle Charlie in the lobby. Yeah.
I know, with this hat.
With this hat, and then they have all the 4 World Championship trophies in the lobby.
When you're walking up, in the reception area.
Very impressive.
I know, and then, all the glass. And what was the view like today?
Oh, it's right. You look right at the estuary. It's gorgeous.
Oh, I know. You can see Alameda right there.
You got it.
So,
we're all 3 Alamedans.
Yeah. Now Harvey's coming back March 30th. He's being.
Oh, no kidding! They're going to have Harvey working.
Pardon me?
They're going to have Harvey at the game.
Well, yes, I refer to it as Harvey 2.0. It's a different Harvey.
Yeah.
But it'll be there.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
I can't wait. Skip, you remembered the Harvey. I thought it was evil looking.
Well, the eyes lit up, right?
Thank you. Yes.
It popped out of the ground next to the umpire.
I've
got a story about that rabbit. Charlie used to love to have Farmer's Day. And
I have pictures of that. And with oil kids?
And he had a menagerie of animals, as you know, that were on the sidelines when everybody came in. But what he did on Farmer's Day is he put pigeons in the hole with Harvey. And the pigeons kept that hole underground until about the 2nd or 3rd inning, until the umpire asked for baseballs. And so out comes the Harvey with the baseballs, and here comes the pigeons. And so there's maybe 10 pigeons, and these pigeons were cooped up for so long in the dark. You can imagine what the pigeons were doing all over the people in the stands.
Oh, wow.
They were swooping and they were diving, and the people were getting bombed, and it was quite a show with the pigeons.
That is, that's
Well, sometimes baseball spectaculars don't go all that well. There's Bill Veeck in the records, the beer night and the record night, and it's a whole bunch of different things that went awry, as it were.
I don't know what I think about that with pigeons.
I just want to note, Nancy and Jerry, that Skip is, in essence, a two-sport athlete. We were talking off air, and to have made it to the major leagues as both a position player and a pitcher. Mm-hmm. Very, very few people are able to do that, and that's like being a world-class athlete in two sports. And we talked about Danny Ainge off air. Not many that one can think about that. Ainge played basketball naturally, but not many that you could think about that could indeed develop two skill sets to become that successful. So my cap is off to you, and
thank you.
I can see why you have a publisher did your book. I mean, that's really something to emphasize.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And another thing, not to toot his horn, because I've noticed that Skip is an inordinately modest guy. He was one of those who went from baseball to education and educated himself at the highest degree. You went to Columbia in New York, and Columbia is an Ivy League school, and then you went to MIT. So we're talking someone who retains, who has a pretty good reading comprehension. I'm just guessing.
That's the opposite of what my dad did. Dad was a high school principal and had his PhD and then went into baseball, not knowing they didn't know anything about it. So Dad was modest, like Skip, and a silent partner of Charlie's. Skip, you probably I'm sure you met my dad.
I know Carl. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Dad was always thought that he didn't think they would make it where they did, so he thought he would be back in education. But Dad went to law school, but never practiced. But all that came in handy when Charlie wanted him to do everything for him. But yeah, that's really great that you did that. That's rare.
Yeah.
Well, there's only been one player ever went to MIT. There's no other graduate from MIT that's ever played in the big leagues. So I'm kind of proud of that.
Yes.
Charlie Finley had an awful lot to do with my career. I started as a third baseman and didn't do so well, but Charlie converted me to pitching. It was him and his encouragement and his constant positive thinking that helped me become a pitcher. It was him that put me back in the minor leagues when nobody else wanted me, when nobody wanted my contract. He gave me a contract to go back to the minor leagues.
He saw something in you.
He was, I can't tell you how often I thank God that Charlie was there. And he had enough forward thinking that let me continue to wear the uniform. And believe me, that was just amazing in my life.
Thank you.
What a nice testimonial to Charlie.
I was going to say, wow.
Most people don't think of Charlie in that way.
I'm trying to change that with my book. My book was out 2016, and it's called Finley Ball. That I didn't think of that, but that's what the title became. And
quickly, where can we get you guys' book? 2 books. First, Nancy, how do you go about getting that if you're listening
Amazon,
to the show?
Barnes & Noble, Costco. That's what I know. So.
Yeah, I got Nancy's book on Amazon. Yeah.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Gary, you did.
I actually paid money for it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm going to go on Amazon and get Skip's book in a minute.
Yes, Skip, your book, you are with Skyhorse Publishing, right?
I am. Skyhorse in New York, yep. And it's on Amazon, yep.
Yeah, that's a well-known
Skip,
publisher.
when you wrote the book, how did you manage to get it published? Was that an ordeal? Did you have to have an agent? What happened with that?
Well, I've been very fortunate in my life, and the book wasn't any different. I managed to call an agent, a book agent that knew me. We had not really met, but he knew me from New York, and he took me on as a client, and he called Skyhorse, and they took me on as a client right away. So it didn't come with a lot of wrangling from me. It was a couple of phone calls. I had an agent. He made a couple of phone calls, and I had a publisher. So that part of it was fairly easy. As Nancy can probably attest, the difficult part is not the writing, it's the editing. The difficult part is to make every story in the book accurate, all the dates and the facts and names, and my goodness, trying to get all squared away and right, that was a lot of work.
When you're talking about what you remember, that's a little better than someone doing a book, say, on Lincoln, because obviously you don't know what really happened. But with things when I was too young to know, I had Dad's records to go with, but then there were things I had to really work hard on to make sure I was right about who said what. And that was through the help of a lot of family friends.
Well, one of them, I'm sure, was Mr. Peterson, who was on the show a few weeks ago.
Oh, yes.
He's a wealth of knowledge, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I remember you talking about you collaborating in some way to exchange knowledge.
Well, what he did, he approached me and said he was looking forward to my book, and we just started communicating in an email, and he's really fun to play devil's advocate with. He does that with me, and it's fun because he will accept something if I tell him something, and he'll admit he didn't know it, and then he tells me things like about the Johnson era that I don't know. And so he really has a knack for that. He doesn't put me on the defensive or anything. He's just really good. It's an education for both of us.
Well, you both did great work with your books. I've read Nancy's now I've got that under my belt for almost 3 weeks.
You know it a little better than I do.
Well, I'll tell you what, Skip's book, because I'm a Met fan, and if you're a Met fan out there and you want to know what a clubhouse is like, one that's run by Norman, I can't think of his first name.
Herbie Norman.
Pardon me? Yeah.
Herbie Norman.
Whoa, it's like you wouldn't think the clubhouse guy would be the first sergeant of the ball club. Now,
this is the Mets, right?
Yeah, this is the Mets.
Mets.
Joe Torre was the manager, but the chain of command doesn't go down from Joe Torre to the third base coach or whoever the hell it was, and I forget. But it goes directly down to Norman, who assumes it with all the moxie that can be expected from someone who, after all, didn't play all that much ball himself. So, is that a good way of describing that clubhouse?
Yeah, you don't realize how much power the guy that gives you the uniform has.
Oh, I can attest to that. By the way, Skip, Dad mentored Sandy Alderson with the Mets.
Oh, really? Wow.
Well, but he was with the Mets. That was toward the end after our stay.
He was with the A's at that time.
Right. Dad stayed with the team as a VP and a mentor, and then Sandy Alderson came in and followed, traveled with Dad. Dad showed him the ropes. That's what I meant. And then much later, Alderson was with the Mets. So I just wanted to interject that. But yes, the clubhouse people, I know that. I know because we had Frank Sinchek. Do you remember him, Skip?
I remember the name. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Frank was first clubhouse person here in Oakland, right?
Yes, that's right. And Steve.
He was the clubhouse manager.
Yeah, Vucinich worked under Frank. Vucinich was 18 when he was hired, but Frank ran that clubhouse.
The thing about the clubhouse in Kansas City was you had to have the right colored uniform on, and there was many combinations that were available. And I found out one day most of the time I rode the bench. I didn't get in very many games. And I was sitting on the bench next to Luke Appling, Hall of Fame shortstop, Cubs.
Sure.
And he was waxing poetic about something to do with the game, and I was sitting next to him. And the manager, McGahey, I'm not exactly sure who the manager was. Dark. Yeah, Alvin Dark pointed to me, and he says, go run for Dick Green. So I go and I take my jacket off and I run out on the field and I step on first base and the umpire calls me out. I had the wrong color uniform on. I had the green. I had the gold underneath the uniform, not the green. So I actually made an out by stepping on first base.
Oh.
Whoa. That is a hell of a story when you think about it.
I wonder if they have a tape of that. They could show it on the blooper reels.
Was that just that?
You know, talking about those uniforms, every year on Who's Who in Baseball, which is a record book, doesn't come out anymore. It's a shame. It would come out every year, and the championship team, whoever won it, their team photo was on one of the back flaps, either the back of the book or one of the back flaps. And they had the A's pictured with one guy would have a green uniform, the next guy would have a gold uniform, the next guy would have a green uniform, and it was so cool in the team picture with the contrasting uniforms that it sticks in my head to this day. And that was the innovator. I can't remember anyone who came up with uniforms that weren't gray or white before Charlie.
Apparently.
Well, that's what Charlie always said. He said baseball was dull on the field. He wanted to liven it up. And now Major League Baseball and the clubs get the advantage of having all these different tops, and they can make great sales to the public to buy the different types of unis that the players wear.
Yeah.
I wonder if Charlie thought ahead to that eventually it'll be pretty much of a big market, because it was resisted. It was very, very. It was a tough sale. Baseball's a staid, traditional game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Charlie used to do a really well. He could make people laugh by imitating the owners at those meetings.
Charlie could.
Yeah, he could, because they just didn't seem excited about anything. He thought they would be. He thought he would show them what would help, and then that he was really let down by that. But it didn't stop him. But I don't. Yeah, with the colors, it was. I just remember as we were winning, he wanted deeper colors. He would say he wanted more intense colors, and that's something else that led me to the synesthesia part, because color seemed to be associated with his excitement level.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, when he was making his money, he wouldn't have done that with color. He could do it once he made his money. He could just come out and say, it looks boring to me.
Well, you know, you are so right about the deepness of the colors, and I'm a cap guy and a colors of the uniform guy, and I remember when the A's first got the green caps in Oakland, in Kansas City.
Yeah.
They were much more of a pale green than the rich forest green that they became. Mm-hmm. And ironically, the A's today, in their throwback store and their off uniform, they have a lighter green cap that is now nostalgic.
I noticed that. And
just like Houston, you go to Houston now and you can buy throwback uniforms that people love. They hated those clown uniforms at that time. Now we look back on them and, they're pretty cool in some way. People change slowly. Baseball changed slower. Changes slower, if one can imagine that.
I just like the really bright colors. I remember those the best. But you're right. I know the uniforms they've gone back to are subdued, but that's how it started.
Right. Exactly.
Nancy, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I know there was more than one mule. When we played, Charlie O the Mule was a constant companion for us on the road trips. So the mule used to come into the hotels with us.
Oh,
he was on the field with us.
He had his own. Yeah, he had his own suite at a New York hotel. I have a picture of that. But hey, on the floor. Do you remember him on the escalator?
I do. I thought that was Detroit, but I do remember
it might have been.
He defecated on the escalator.
I'm
trying to get up the escalator. He didn't want to get on the escalator. It was too small. A mule was a big animal.
It was like an Arabian horse. Yeah.
So they had to close the escalator for cleaning, and then they tried to get him onto one of the elevators. He didn't want to go on the elevator either.
I don't blame him. I know. That mule was so popular because of those promos. It's stunts or whatever, but I have a picture of the mule in a bar. Going into a barber shop for a haircut, and you can see the people already in the chairs getting haircuts and the looks on their faces. I have a picture of him in Disneyland. I'm not there. My cousins aren't there. The mule is there. I resented that a little bit, but
do you have any pictures of any of the players riding the mule?
I have a lot of the players' kids riding the mule. I think I have Hawk Harrelson on the mule.
I was going to ask you that. Ken Harrelson tried to ride the mule, and the only way he could ride it was he hung onto the mule's neck.
Yes, he's doing that. Yes. And
the mule would drag him around.
Poor guy. I don't know how anyone rode that mule without a saddle. I don't know. I mean, I never got on him because he was so big, and that was very scary to do. But he was tame, but yet he could trip. He could lose his footing. He did that in Francesco's restaurant once. But after coming out to Oakland, we didn't take the mule to all those places until we were in the championships. So
was he ever turned away at restaurants and stuff?
Oh, one place turned him away, and that was the White Sox Stadium.
Oh, really?
And so
they wouldn't let him in at all.
Well, Charlie had a protest with women in hot pants, and I have a picture of that. And so that's when Charlie said he needed to bring equipment in, and he had the mule inside, and they got into the stadium, and then here comes the mule. So he did get inside. It's like okay, Troy type of thing.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Trojan mule.
Pardon me?
Like the Trojan mule.
Yes. And then I remember the man who managed him was very serious. He always had another partner with him because I could the look on their faces they're trying so hard not to have the mule get spooked while Charlie's riding him.
What a trip!
Yeah,
what a trip indeed! What a ride!
Oh,
Let me ask you this, Skip. Would you tell me of some of your memorable experiences in the minors with A's play, coming up with these guys? What was it like on a day-to-day basis? Who was really fun to have as a teammate?
I roomed with Catfish for the entire year that we were in the big leagues. And then in the minor leagues, I had a parade of other players, good players, some not so good players. But I remember rooming with Raleigh Fingers. So in Modesto, California, was the same place when Reggie broke in. Reggie came to Modesto. Tony La Russa was in Modesto. Raleigh Fingers and I.
Joe Rudy, I think, was in Modesto.
Oh, Rudy was there. I mean, we had a parade of really, 3 Hall of Famers, great players. One quick funny story about Fingers and I is Fingers bought a cat, and I'm not a cat person. I wouldn't let him have a dog because you had to take the dog out. We had road trips, so you can't go on a road trip with a dog in your pilot. But he got a cat. So he got this cat, and he left it in the apartment for a 7-day road trip.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. That's exactly
with a cat box.
With a cat box and left some food out for the cat. You can imagine what that place was like.
Oh, my goodness.
It shows the dynamics of your relationship. You said, I wouldn't let him have a dog.
Have a dog.
One guy has to be the sane one in the roommate experience. Oh, hell, imagine if he left a dog for a week.
Now you're scaring me because Raleigh just joined the A's as a consultant.
You beat me to that, yes. Yes. Scary, yes.
Yes.
Now you're scared.
Yeah, right. Where's this team going to go this year? Skip, have you had a chance to look at the current edition of the A's? Do you have any thoughts about how they'll do this year?
I haven't seen him yet. I'm sorry. I haven't seen the roster.
Okay. Well, they got some good young talent, so check them out when you get a chance.
Oh, Skip, do you remember Ted Kubiak?
Very well. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Oh, Ted's been a guest many times on these airwaves.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Terrific.
Ted is finishing his book, by the way.
Good. He was a great glove man. I don't remember a lot of offense out of him, but he was a great defensive player.
He goes over to Taiwan now for about a month at a time.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow. And I must, every time we talk Ted Kubiak, I have to mention former Kansas City A's coach, Irv Noren, was Teddy's father-in-law, still is. And Irv's over 90. We've had him as a guest. Very, very fascinating guy. Was a Yankee in his heyday. Pretty good ball player in his heyday, as a matter of fact. Had a great year in 1954. So,
Sid, do you remember Wes Stock?
Sure.
Okay.
I remember Wes Stock, and I remember his sons. He had 2 little boys.
Yes, I have pictures of them on the mule. Yeah.
Wes Stock was a great pitching coach and a good fellow and everything. Mm-hmm. But he had that police haircut. Do you remember that buzz cut? He had the police hair. It was like a flat top right out of the pages of a magazine.
I have pictures.
And both of his sons had the same haircut. Do you remember those little boys? It was the cutest little thing to see this family come through with his military-looking haircuts. Quite the thing.
They're all still together very close. Wes and his wife Bev, and they're at spring training a lot to watch games. So anyway, yes, they're doing really well.
Nice.
Please say hello for me.
I will.
All right. Hey, this has been terrific. And I cannot end the show without congratulating Nostradamus, Jerry Feidelberg, who the morning we recorded a show last week. By the next morning, Jerry said what they need and what they're going to get. I have a feeling they're going to get Lucroy from Milwaukee or sign him as a free agent, however they got him. And sure enough, right after the show's over, you called it, Jerry, so
they're listening.
Congratulations.
I sent the show, by the way, some of the shows to the office, Mr. Cavallo.
Oh, great. I hope they listen.
Oh, they're listening, and I even heard from some fans on the East Coast who said they really liked last week's show.
Oh, fabulous.
Wow.
So, yeah, Jerry.
Like hearing that. Anytime we're making some impression, because Jerry gives excellent analyzation of what's going on in today's game and ties it together to the old days. And Nancy, your memories and the way you present your stories, this show is not just about stats and numbers. It's about real lives. And when
color.
when you're asked to remember somebody and you remember their kid on a mule, that means you're a human being. You weren't remembering that guy hit something or that guy made an out. Who in the hell cares? We want to hear the cat story left alone in the low minors, so we get an idea who should be running the show.
I would love to compare more notes with Skip. Skip, we have to get our ways to communicate.
Inside baseball. I have a question for Skip, and it has to do with a couple of Boston guys talking. Skip, when you grew up, were you a Red Sox fan?
Everybody was a Red Sox fan in Boston.
Everybody was, and I see you finished your last year with the Red Sox. And I asked Jim Corsi this question too. I don't know if Ralph told you, back in the 90s, I was on the A's medical staff for a number of years. I'm a retired pharmacist. And I had an interest in writing and broadcasting, and I was able to pursue that after I retired. But I asked Corsi the same question because he was from Newton, Massachusetts, and he was a Red Sox fan. And the question was, how did you feel as a player going into Fenway Park and playing for the Red Sox?
Anytime you get a chance to get on that field, it is quite a privilege. I was the first free agent that the Red Sox ever signed. So it was written up in the papers. I was coming from 5 good years in New York as the closer. I didn't sneak into town. There was a lot of publicity around my coming. I went to high school in close at hand. I had family close there. I was leaving passes for I think the whole town of Norwood when I was there. But I will tell you this: that's a tough place to pitch.
I asked. There was a reliever that he was with the Brewers, and he came to pitch for the A's. And I asked him what was it like to pitch in Fenway. And he was a right-handed pitcher, and he said that wall is too close. He says right over your shoulder.
Right over your shoulder. Yaz played out there in left field a bunch, and I swear he missed a double play when I was pitching left field, second base, first base. Missed a double play. It was such a small ballpark to pitch in. I didn't pitch all that well, but pitching in Boston, wearing that uniform was a privilege. It certainly was great.
Yeah. Now, that would have been, if they'd have turned that double play, can you imagine the publicity that would have gotten?
Well, Ralph, the ball was hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Step on second, it's rudder first. Wonderful. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
I don't mean to change the subject so quickly, but I wanted to interject. Skip, we had a theme song that a lot of people don't remember. I don't really remember seeing the 45, but I remember the tune. And it started in 61, and I had a CD made of it, and I took it to Dave Cavall when I went to the office, and he said they're going to see about playing that between some innings this season, because that's what we used to play between innings before the days, they would play the current rock songs, or like when the Beatles just happened to come in and perform. But that was our theme song throughout the 60s, even coming to Oakland. Do you remember that?
I'm glad that Dave is reaching back into the history of the franchise. Because
even John Peterson didn't know about that song, or that we gave the 45 out as a promo at a game in 61. I didn't. I know that because Dad had them and told me.
Okay.
So,
Nancy, I'm sorry, I don't remember the tune.
You know what? That's okay, because for some reason it's a tune. It doesn't have words. And my husband said that's not a song, so maybe that's why. But it was meant to play in between the innings, and then in Oakland we had the four 1930s looking guys go around and play the music, or we would play songs from the current era. But yeah, that was our original tune, and I just thought, well, I have the copy of it. Why not just see how?
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Okay.
Now I want all three of you to be in on this moment. Okay. I've been thinking Nancy is so personable, and she's got so much going. She needs a little theme song of her own on the show. All right? So I reached back in my memory and combining everything. How about this, Nancy? Listen up. Here we go. What do you think, Nancy? Sopwith Camel, back in the day. Mm-hmm. That's what you invoke. A little nice talk. I'd never treat you mean.
I like it. That is so sweet. If you like that, I like it. Sure.
All right. We'll put it in when we introduce you from now on. Okay? Skip, you were before the time of walk-up music. Now a relief pitcher will come in and whatever it is, the AC/DC, this, that, and the other thing. What music would you have played if it were in vogue at that
time? When I was with the Mets, they had a song for me. And it was...
Did? Oh, whoa. Did not know that. Sorry.
It was a song from Jaws. The shark movie.
That's a compliment.
I think it was a compliment.
I like that.
But that's what they played would come into the game.
Suspense, yes.
So it may have something to do with my personality also, but we can talk about that there.
Wow.
Well, I'll try to get a piece of that. Maybe we'll compose something for your walk-up music, for your walk-in music for the podcast.
Good.
And Jerry, I got you're next. What would be your music?
Oh, well, I'm not very big on that stuff.
You are today. You're playing along, Jerry. You got to play along.
I'm trying to help Jerry think.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, Ralph, you would be New York, New York. Okay, that's settled.
Well, all right. Well,
yeah,
there are a few songs I'd probably be Barnacle Bill the Sailor, if the truth be known.
Oh, maybe we could do I Left My Heart in San Francisco. How's that?
I was thinking that, but I thought, that's the song I was thinking.
All right.
Is there anything for Boston? I don't think so.
No, I can't think of anything. Except
I can't think of anything, but I don't know. We had a musical interlude. I think this is our first musical interlude ever. Certainly the four of us.
Oh, I have to say this. None of us have. You've probably never heard of the group Rancid. It's something that is the young people listen to now. They're from this area.
I haven't heard about it, but I'm far from young, so
my daughter told me.
Excuses well in the bag.
One of their lyrics said, Charlie O had 3 in a row. They were,
really?
Yes. And so my daughter dared me to find them on Twitter and thank them. And I noticed people following them who I knew. I thought, people have heard of this group. It's like I don't know, acid rock, if that's still around, but it's...
Okay, well, may I ask what song it was that Rancid sung? I'll try to pull it up somewhere.
No, I could have my daughter send it to me again. I don't know. They're from this area, so they're
all right, so they have a limited book of songs for me to search from.
But apparently they're very big. They're very big.
All right. Well, then I'll find them. I'll find them just by plugging in the words to the song lyrics.
They're on Twitter. Yeah, it's Rancid.
Yeah.
Easy to remember. Yes.
All right.
That was interesting.
Hey, this has been terrific. Thank you, Skip, for joining us.
And
thank you, Nancy and Jerry. We'll be back with the A's.
Yes.
And very, very soon, Skip Lockwood will be coming to these airwaves with his own show, and I'm truthfully, inordinately excited. So, thank you, and we'll be back next week, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Bye. Be well, and adios.